Hi, this is Scott Herbst. I am founder and president of Six Flex Training and Consulting, and you are watching or listening to The Flex. This is a conversation show where we talk with people who are expressing their leadership with the intention to give you access to expressing yours. I am really thrilled to have Leticia Moreno with us today. Leticia is the clinical director and chief executive of Within Me Therapy. They provide clinic and home-based services to early learners age 2 to 12 with autism across kind of a wide area in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. As usual, I am gonna really let Leticia tell her story and you hear what she has to contribute from her. Leticia, thank you for being here.
And thank you, Scott, for the invite. I'm really excited about having our conversation today and getting my story out.
Awesome. Thanks for being willing to tell it. Where I always start this is I want to hear what got you to where you are. You can go back as far as you like, like what got you into ABA, what that was like. What I'm really interested in is what though led you to going from someone who could really like easily find work with other people to launching your own business and expressing and asserting your leadership.
Sure, sure. So, my journey started out as a school teacher, an elementary special education school teacher. And I taught for a few years. And my aunt, who was a social worker or is a social worker, mentioned to me about the field of ABA. And at that time, I had no clue what ABA was, like a lot of people. And she described it to me with working closely with families in the home setting, similar to teaching, but a nice blend of psychology and education. So to me, I was interested in learning more. And that started my journey with researching what ABA was and decided to go back to school from there and pursue my career in ABA. And from there, I became a BCBA and started working for different companies in the area, in the Maryland, DC area. And a lot of these companies were widely known. They have locations all over and they are pretty big companies. And what I found was that I seemed to be a clinician that was just a number. Like I didn't feel like I got a lot of support or direction as a new BCBA. And that was something that I felt like was very important, especially being new to the field, even though I came with an educational background. ABA was still new to me. And so that really jump started the reason why I started my company was because I wanted the support and also, another thing I noticed was that I worked with a lot of people that had been in the field for a long time and not new BCBAs. So just creating a company was what I looked for to create a space for new BCBAs to get that support that they need. So that's something that we really strive for is creating the learning and the support opportunities for new BCBAs or new clinicians in general. Also looking at the support we provide BTs and RBTs.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. I've heard that from a lot of people. And that being not necessarily exactly what you said, but
Hmm.
one thing as I've done more and more of these podcasts is that it's pretty common with people in positions of leadership that what had them arrive there was that I'm going to say it this way. I don't know if it might sound bad, but there was a complaint, right? Like, I'm not getting the
Hmm.
support I want. Like, this is not how I wanted my career to go. And what distinguishes leaders is that there's a complaint and then an action to address it. So like a forward action too, like, oh, well, I want support. Well, I'm going to create a place that has support or
Right.
really supports.
Exactly.
Yeah. How was it starting a business?
So I started my business as I was contracting or working for other companies, really. And
Hmm.
so I started my company wearing all the hats. So I was the BCBA, I was the RBT, I was the biller, I
Yeah.
was, the credentialer. I was everybody all in one, right? And then from there, I was able to start to branch out and hire people that were able to contribute to my vision and help me continue to grow the company. And so during that time with starting my company, it wasn't the easiest thing to do, right? Because you're juggling quite a bit. You're juggling learning all the new things because I didn't go to school for business. I've never run a company before. So I had to learn all of those things on my own, how to run a company. I have the clinical background, like I know how to, provide the services and things like that. But as far as like the credentialing and the billing and all of that, I had to learn all of that. So it definitely took a lot of time and um a lot of headaches and stressful days just trying to figure it out on my own. And then I had to learn how to delegate. Like once I did hire, my first BT or my first RBT to my first BCBA and then our admin team, I had to learn how to delegate those things and use people according to like what their strengths are, and help them be able to bring my vision to life still because I have all the things in my head on what I want the company to look like, feel like, what our goals are. But then once you are in a leadership position, you have to learn how to delegate in order to continue to allow other people to see what your vision is and bring it to life as well.
There's a few things I want to ask you about. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just throw them out. You can tell me which one you want to start talking about. But you mentioned
Okay.
vision a couple times, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that's clearly important to you. And I guess my questions there are like, well, what is your vision? And
Mhm.
what have you achieved of it? What's still in progress?
Mhm.
And as you've grown, how do you really not just yourself focus on that, but actually have your team pick it up and take
Mhm.
it as their own as well?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great loaded question. I think that my vision is to create a space or a company that helps children as well as clinicians reach their full potential within, right? And
Yeah.
so with that, it is creating a
Is that
space
where your
where
name comes
ABA.
from?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
within me
awesome.
therapy. Yeah, and so it's really a focus on both. Obviously, we work on helping families, but also helping clinicians too, because that support is definitely something that um, we strive to continue to keep at the forefront with
Yeah.
the trainings we provide, just the opportunities for growth, opportunities to learn. We start with internship positions all the way up to leadership positions. So that's definitely part of the vision. Um, but also for ABA to be known as a service where we are always looking at how we can help people improve, help people be able to access community, and really helping them reach their full potential within. So that's definitely where the vision is to bring back ABA to look at just empowering people. And our focus is not just empowering our clients, but also empowering our clinicians as well.
Yeah. Awesome. You've really put attention to your culture. I
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, how do you did you answer this? Was I not listening? How do you go from this is my vision to like this is our vision? And do you have any advice
Yeah,
for that?
I think something that we typically do, and it's something that I've had to intentionally do, is whenever we have like team meetings and things like that, we always connect it to our mission, right? And our mission speaks to what our values are and
Yeah.
what the vision of the company is. And so that's something that we've had to intentionally do. And I've even had staff members like remind us, like, okay, we're going to start with our mission
Oh,
and
that's
then
awesome.
have everyone, yeah, and have everyone like connect to it.
Yeah.
Our last all staff meeting, we started with a activity that was actually created by one of our lead RBTs, and
Uh-huh.
she did like a memorable moments board, and everybody wrote down what a memorable moment with their client is. And they
Yeah.
wrote it on a little sticky, and we were able to like read it out loud. And then from there, we all connected it to what our mission is. Like, how does your memorable moment with your client when they, were able to tie their shoe, how does that connect to our mission? Right. And so we were all able to connect based off of what our mission was. And those are just activities that we try to incorporate to help us make sure that we keep our vision or what our purpose is at the forefront.
Awesome. I want
So
to
yeah.
pause there and really underline that because I think that's a practice that scales really, really well.
Hmm.
So anyone listening to this I think could take that. And like if you are new BCBA, just have your first team of RBTs, like that's something you can take and say, even if you're working for a company where like the mission isn't a part of like it's really part of the discussion for you, right? So much
Hmm.
so that the people, it's not even just sourced, it's not just coming out of your mouth, it's coming out of the people around you's mouth, right?
For sure, for
um,
sure. Yeah.
but so that's something that you can take on from anywhere in the company and say like, well, here's what we're about, here's what we're really doing, and have that be a conversation with your team. And just to build on that, what difference have you seen that attention and intentionality has made for your your team?
Yeah, I think that it allows people to identify their why, right? Like, why do you work for us, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what our mission is, and you have created these opportunities and moments that are memorable to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes our job gets hard, right? Like, burnout is a real thing. And so, it allows the staff member or employee to always have the reason why they work for us at the forefront as well. Because when those days get hard, when you're working with your client who has, some behaviors that are very challenging, knowing why you're doing this will continue to help you drive through because, they can work anywhere, right? They could work at Target and they could be IT somewhere. Like they chose this profession, this job for a
Or
reason.
they
And
could
so,
find another RBT job or BCBA job like that, I'm sure.
oh
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's always a need. There's always a need. And so, having them know what their why is and how they can connect with our mission or our vision allows them to continue to have that intrinsic motivation to keep going.
Yeah. Awesome. Really
Yeah.
powerful. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, hey, if you are willing to share, I want to talk about
Okay.
one thing we talked a little bit before we got on the hit record here was your experience as a Black woman in this field. And um, I didn't ask you how long you've been in the field. What I can say is that when I came in the field in 1999, I went to my first ABAI. Um, and I can't remember if I shared this, but I came from a really diverse community, right? And
Mhm.
the job where I found behavior analysis was very, very diverse. My boss was black, and there were people of color like at all levels of the organization. And then I walk into ABAI, and in 1999, it was like a sea of white people, and it was nothing like where I work from. It was nothing like my job, and I was a little disappointed because I was like new to the field and thinking we can fix the world's problems. And then I got to the conference and was like, whoa, we are not, like, the world isn't
Mhm.
here, right?
Mhm.
And I know the field is diversified some in the, in between here and there, but we're not there yet. So I'm wondering if you would be willing to talk a little bit about your experience as a Black woman coming into this field where, historically, at least from my experience, is very kind of like one color.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I definitely agree with you. When I joined the field, I noticed the discrepancy with the representation of people of color, including, myself. When I came into the field, I was the only Black BCBA for, the companies I worked for.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that right away. Like, I'm sitting around at a round table and I'm the only Black girl. Like, I
Mhm.
noticed that. And so with that lack of representation, it prompted me to delve a little bit deeper into how we can continue to provide space for people that look like me, provide more opportunities for clinicians that look like me. And so that prompted me to create my company as well. Not to say that I only work with clinicians, but it's our team is very diverse because our clients are also diverse. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of Spanish speaking families. So we make sure that we have a team of Spanish speaking clinicians so that way we can communicate effectively with our parents. And that goes with many other cultures as well. So that is definitely something that we strive to continue to create a space for a diverse population because that's what our clients are. So I'm definitely very proud to, create that space for our clients and clinicians. And I think also, working in companies that aren't as diverse, uh, it is sometimes uncomfortable because, there isn't anyone that I can necessarily relate to in certain spaces and in certain conversations. And I think that's important because parents also look at that, because, when you're working in underserved communities like myself, it parents look to be able to connect with their clinicians and connect with a company. And so when they see a company that isn't as diverse, they may feel that aren't able to connect with them on certain levels. And so that is also something that I take into consideration with, the clients and the clinicians we have on board, is just creating those opportunities for parents to be able to connect with their clinicians.
Yeah. How have you I really appreciate you're a really intentional person. I really appreciate that, first of all.
Oh, thank you.
Um, I do. I like that. And But the intentionality with creating a place that is really welcoming to your staff and parents, and it sounds like your commitment goes like really for everyone, right? um
Mhm.
that it's not just people who look like me. It's like, no, I want people to be able to be included. What would you say to anyone starting a business about what you've learned in really trying to nurture that kind of environment? And I don't even know exactly what, I guess, what have you learned? Yeah.
Mhm. I think I've learned to become a good listener as a leader. I know a lot of the times we, we just want things done, right? But we also have to take into consideration other people's perspectives. And I think as a leader or just being in a leadership role, being a good listener and taking into account other people's perspectives is important because we may not always consider certain things on their side. And
Yeah.
so, for example, if I am in a team with let's say I have an admin meeting and we're going over, how we're planning on a challenge, for example, like staffing, right? That's always something that is or can be a challenge
Yeah.
with ABA companies. And so to me, it's like, okay, we need to hire for this and hire for that. But they may have a different perspective or a different way of looking at things, and just hearing them out can definitely help with like problem solving and getting things done because they're also working on the back end. And so just being able to listen and hear perspective, or even on the clinician side, like as a BCBA, because I am still a BCBA, so I also can still work with clients and things like that. And so when I work with an IBT, hearing them and listening to them on what's working and what's not working for their client can also help drive instruction as well. And I think that that just speaks to being a good leader is to be able to listen and take different perspectives.
Yeah. I mean, so you just actually hit on a passion of mine. I don't know if you meant to do that, but I love listening. And you said you've had to become a good listener, and
Hmm.
not just like be a good listener, but become a good listener. Can you offer any insight into how you've cultivated that skill over your growth?
So I think from that, it's mainly consists of playing back what that person just said in my mind
Uh-huh.
instead of thinking of what the next thing I want to say,
Yeah,
if
brilliant.
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
it makes perfect
sometimes
sense.
when the other person is talking, we might be thinking of what's my next point that I need to get across.
Yeah,
Versus, oh, I like what you just said. You mentioned that we should incorporate more sensory toys. Like that's a great idea. And then from there, going into the points that we want to make from there. So I think becoming a good listener is and means that you're intentionally thinking about what that person is saying before, going into what you want to say.
yeah. I want to underline that for people listening, because I think that the advice you gave about playing back what they said
Hmm.
versus thinking about what to respond to is really powerful. Um, Before I had any idea that uh, what was going on in my head wasn't going on, what was going on out here, I had this really clear memory. I had a girlfriend and we were in school together. And at the end of class, I was going to go have lunch with one of my buddies. And
Hmm.
and so I went to tell her, "Hey, I'm going to have lunch," and she said, "Wait," and I flipped out. Where I was like,
Oh no.
"How dare she try to like control me and tell me what to do?" And like, all she said was, "Wait," you know.
Yeah,
And it
that
was,
was a trigger for you.
yeah, no, yeah, it totally was, right. I've done some work on that. I'm better.
Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
know.
But no, it was like, but I didn't listen to what she said. There was like
Mm,
my reaction to it. And then I think that's a really useful piece of, but like replay what people said and deal with that
right,
versus all the like your response to it. Cool.
right.
Um let's see. We're coming up about on the edge of the time that we have scheduled
Okay.
for this. Um, is there anything that you really want to share about your journey that I haven't asked that you think would be really valuable for people to know?
Um, I think we didn't necessarily talk about roadblocks that may come up as a leader internally. Like for me, I think
Yeah,
something that
please.
has I've always kind of not struggled with, but it's always kind of there is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Only because like I mentioned earlier, like I didn't go to school for business and things like that. So
Mhm.
even in my leadership role, I still sometimes can struggle with imposter syndrome, even though I
Okay.
know I have the credentials. You know, I'm also in school for my PhD in ABA. So I know my stuff, but it's more so just the day to day. Sometimes that definitely comes up. And so I have
Right.
to constantly remind myself, like, I got this. And if I don't have it, I'm gonna get it at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So yeah, I think for anyone who is looking to start their ABA company, you know, just know that you can. And if you don't know it, then do your research to get that information because it's out there and because I do a lot. I'm a mother of 4 boys. I'm a wife. I'm a BCBA. I'm also a business owner
Leticia, can we
and
back up
sure.
15 seconds? There was a little glitch in the connection there.
Oh, no.
Oh, I mean, it was really like 15 seconds, but it was, for anyone looking to open their own business, if you don't know something, go get it, go find it out, and that's where the glitch happens.
Okay. Yeah, so I can rewind and do
Yeah,
that
just
again.
back up a second, and we'll just include it.
Okay. Yeah, and so for anyone that is out there that wants to start an ABA company, you know, I would definitely encourage them to, you know, start their company and any information that you don't know, do your research, go and get that information because it is possible to do so. It just does take a lot of work, but you will be rewarded on the back end for the work that you do put in.
Yeah, what have the rewards been?
Ooh, so the rewards are, I would definitely would say, are more so with the impact that we have been able to um, provide. So in the beginning, it was more so with us like growing our clients and like more numbers and like quantity. I want, you know, to be in network with these amounts of insurance companies and I want
Yeah.
this amount of clients and this amount of BCBAs. And now instead of it being more so tied to quantity or like the image of becoming like this big company, it's more about the impact versus image. And I look at getting emails and phone calls from parents thanking us about the work that we do, about how they're able to now go to the grocery store without having, you know, meltdowns, or they're able to attend birthday parties now and not feel embarrassed, you know, with how their child may be reacting in certain social situations and overcoming different situations like that is um where our impact is and the reward is. So that's I would definitely say is where our reward comes just by the work and the impact that we're doing for
Yeah.
families.
I'm gonna point to this because I've heard it a bunch of times from you now that you're really connected to the difference you make. And
Yes, absolutely.
and you, aside from just the feedback you get from your clients, you do work to connect and connect people around you to the difference you make. And I think it shows, you know.
Oh, thank you.
Um, well, I mean, you're delightful to talk to. And so I want people to like hear that and see that. And you don't have to be the CEO of a company to do that. You can actually connect to the difference you make from anywhere, and you got to be intentional about it, right?
Yeah, for sure, and intentional, but this is also like I'm very passionate about the work I do. You know, just based on like my why and why I created the company. Like I could have just continued to, you know, work for other companies or maybe find another company that met my values more instead of creating my own. But I know that this is part of like my life's purpose as well. And so that's kind of like what drives my intentionalities because I know that this is literally what I've been put here to do. And so because of that, my why is very strong and it allows me to keep going when challenges come about because a lot of people may look at being an entrepreneur or a CEO as like, you know, this glorious thing and by all means it can be glorious in many ways, but it could also be very challenging and risky as well. So, I think just think long and hard before, you know, taking that leap, but it can definitely be very rewarding at the same time.
Awesome. Hey, I really appreciate that you brought up imposter syndrome, and I did have one more question about that. Do you
Okay.
have any advice? I got the advice like go figure it out if you're starting a business. Imposter syndrome is not by any means limited to business owners. I know
Right.
when I was a professor, my first year as a professor, before I founded this company, I
Okay.
was like, oh my God, they expect me to have all the answers and I don't have them. They
Yeah.
hired the wrong person. And
You're the professor, so
I've heard that from first year BCBAs or second year BCBAs, or someone who's founded a company. Like I think this is something that's pretty. If everyone doesn't have it, enough people have it that it's like part of the human condition, right?
mhm.
Could you give any advice to that newly minted BCBA who might be struggling with the same thing just at a different scale?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, how do you manage
I
imposter syndrome?
yeah. How do you manage imposter syndrome? So I would say to continue the learning process, right? The learning process never stops, but also look at continuing to make those strides with whatever your goals are. And even if they don't end up the way you want them to, look at that as like growing pains. Because I know for me, I, in the beginning, it took me a long time to kind of get things done because I would procrastinate. And I was like, "Oh, I'm unsure about this. I'm unsure about," you know, even down to like the name of my company. I was unsure about that. Like that's like you can't really do anything until you have a name. And
Yeah.
then you do all those things. So even that took a while because I was like procrastinating. And so I realized that those stalls, like once I started things, I realized that those stalls can have like a trickle effect if you don't just continue to like get things done. And so even if sometimes imposter syndrome can kind of get in the way because you end up procrastinating because you're like, I'm not sure, you're unsure of yourself.
Yeah.
But I look at those things as like growing pains. So even if things don't end up the way I wanted them to, or I realize that, oh, hey, we could have done this better this way, after you kind of, you know, analyze things afterwards, to look at them as growing pains and learning opportunities versus, oh, I can't do this, or, you know, I'm not good enough. I would just more so would say my advice would be to just do it anyways and learn from it.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Is it fair to say another way of saying that is to just stay in action?
Yeah, yeah, keep the ball rolling for sure.
Yeah. And if it
Keep the
rolls the
ball
wrong way, you can move
rolling.
it over.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly, because, especially when you have a team, I realize that my stalling or me not knowing what direction to take can sometimes delay their parts as well. Like they're coming
Yeah.
to me for all the answers, right? And so if I'm like, oh, I don't know, then where do they go from there? So it forces me to have to, you know, make those decisions and, keep everything moving, like you said.
Awesome. We're really, really close to out of time now. A couple more quick questions. Anything you really want to share you're proud of?
Hmm. So I am proud of the quality of services we provide, because again, we focus on uh, creating those memories for parents and creating a space where we focus on the quality of services versus just the quantity. So I'm really proud of that, and I think that our team knows what our vision is, what our mission is, and we're all able to work towards that. And that's something that I think we continue to strive for, and I'm definitely proud of that.
I think you should be proud of that. I think it's one thing that stood out for me is that, wow, your team is really taking ownership of your mission.
Hmm.
That's pretty awesome. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so good work.
It's a work in progress. It's it's something
I
that we
mean, it
all,
will be
like
like
I
it's a
said,
mountain with no top, I'm sure, right?
right.
Um, cool. My last question, actually, I have two questions.
Okay.
What's next for you? What's like, where are you looking to grow, either in terms of here's where I'm looking to take my company, or here's where I'm looking to grow personally and my next like level of growth and development?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for as far as within me therapy, we continue to grow. So right now we're adding additional services. Like we just started providing speech therapy. So that is
Awesome.
something that I want to continue to grow in that area with providing additional services. Um, Hope to open up another clinic or expand our current clinic within the next year or so. And
Awesome.
then as far as personally, I will hopefully finish my doctorate by the end of the year. And I would also like to expand to work with people with dementia. So that's what my focus is
Hmm.
for my dissertation, even though my company right now primarily provides services for children with autism. But we want to expand on that because we all know that ABA isn't only for children with autism. And so working with people with dementia is also very close to my heart. And so that is why I want to eventually expand services to also work with that population as well.
Awesome. My last question is
Okay.
anyone who is absolutely dying to know you or maybe looking for employment with a great company, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach us at withinmetherapy.com. That's our website, and you can reach out that way. We're also on Instagram, Within Me Therapy, or at Leticia Within for my personal account. And that's probably the best way to reach us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story, sharing your insights. It has been a delight. And yeah, I'm just thrilled you were able to make it.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And to those of you who are listening, thank you for listening. And we will see you the next time on The Flex.
All right, bye.